Kaosy Umeh here, aka Attorney Know-It-All. So you guys, today I'm here to talk to you about child support. Specifically, how to calculate it on your own if you're representing yourself. So I know I made a video last year about child support and what factors to look for and how to calculate it. But I never actually went through the step-by-step what to do if you're doing this on your own. So I'm here to just walk through it with you so you can see how easy it is. I know everyone thinks it's so complicated and they always have all these questions about, oh, what about this? What about that? I'll show you right now what exactly is considered in child support, how to run the guidelines, and how to put the calculator in. Okay, so this is pretty simple and I'll just walk you through it. As you can see, I'm starting off straight on the Google page. On here, we just type in Maryland Child Support Guidelines. Oh, probably child should come before supports. Child support. And as you all know, I really cannot type, or maybe you don't know, but I cannot type to save my life. So that makes me, the lawyer, really, really interested. Okay, so child support guidelines. There we go. And my computer is slower than slow. So bear with me as it's, there we go, look at it. It's working. You got this. Okay, so child support guidelines, we click on this, is on the Maryland Department of Human Services website. I was trying to highlight that, but oh well. So let's go on there. And it takes us to the Human Services website's face, or open the page. Okay, so this is what we're looking for right here. This top line here, and on here it says estimator. We want to estimate how much child support is going to cost you, or how much you can anticipate in getting child support. So we're just going to go here, click on that. Let my very slow computer do its magic. It takes a little while. Okay. And keep in mind, I know I'm talking about my computer being slow, but if this is like 50 years ago, this computer will be busted. Like, you can see me. Because this is not where we're trying to go. We are trying to go to the estimate. Let's skip estimated into a weird place. Maybe let's try estimated child support amounts. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get me to the right page. There we go. It gives you some things you have to agree to. Just go ahead and click agree and proceed. And it takes us to this page. So I want to point out something to you. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 worksheets on here. For the case of this video, we're only going to be worried about these first 2 worksheets. And the main difference between this first 2 worksheets and this last 2 worksheets is this. You use this worksheet below if your child support case began before 2022. And when I say began, I mean somebody actually filed something in court and the court made the decision prior to July 1st, 2022. But if this is a new child support case, or it just got filed, or the judge made a decision after July 1st, 2022, you want to use this worksheet up here. So I'm going to run through both examples for you. The first example is going to be for when one party gets primary custody, primary physical custody. And the second example is going to be for when we have shared legal custody. So let's go up here to the primary legal custody. I'm sorry, primary physical custody. So when we get on this page, this is now the guidelines page. At the end of it, we're going to press print, or you will press print, and the courts and the website will produce to you a child support worksheet. But anyway, let's start here. If this was an actual court case, I would actually go in here, pick the county, put in the case number, put in the names of my plaintiffs. But this isn't a court case, so we're just gonna do this. So this is the first red dot we see, and this is for the number of minor children. number of minor children. Okay. So in our case, in this example, we're going to go with one child. And let's scroll down. And we're going to state here, and I'm only doing this for simplicity purposes, but in our case, we're going to state that both parents make roughly around the same amount of money. They're both minimum wage workers. They both work 40 hours a week. They're full-time minimum wage, but in our situation, let's say mother has custody. She has primary physical custody. So that's why we're using the worksheet A. And let's go ahead and put in the numbers. And these are the only numbers the courts, everything you see on here is literally the only thing the court's allowed to use in determining what child support is supposed to be. So let's go here. If they are both working 15 hours, I know the answer is 2,600, but I also want to show you guys how we come to calculate monthly child support numbers. Monthly income numbers. So both parents are working 15 hours. Both parents are earning $15 per hour. They both work 40 hours a week, so we multiply that and we get 600. So there are also 52 weeks in a year, so we multiply 600 by 52, we get 31,200. And then we divide, and this is how much they would make in a year if they work 52 weeks at $15 an hour, working 40 hours a week. That's how much you make in the year. So let's divide this by 12 to figure out how much they'll make per month. And that is 2,600. So that's what we're going to use here for both parents. 2,600. 2,600. So for some of you wonder why I did it this way instead of just going with, can't type, 26. Oh, that's on me. I have something pressed down on my keyboard, so let's try this again. Okay, whatever. So, I know some of you are asking, well, why do all this fancy calculation on the side here instead of just adding up your two pay stubs you get per month? The courts do not do that simply because it doesn't give you the most accurate income information. Because most people forget, yes, there are 4 weeks in a month, but it's not exactly 4 weeks. Sometimes you have those extra days that run over, so you get extra weeks in a month. Sometimes you get an extra week here and an extra week there. So it's not really that accurate to just add up your pay stub from your two pay stubs you received each month. It does not really give you the best, income amount, because people forget sometimes you receive 3 pay stubs in a month. It happens. So anyway, this is the most accurate way to determine your weekly or your monthly income. And as you can see, we have the option here. We can choose to do it weekly, or we can choose to do it it's on both sides. Monthly, weekly. I think this is bi-weekly. Yeah, bi-weekly, and I'm not sure what S is. I've never used S. Okay. So anyway, let's do this, and let's fill out the rest to see how much this couple will either have to pay or receive in child support. Okay. And mother is going to be parent 1. She's the one we're saying she's keeping primary physical custody, and father is parent 2. He's going to be the one paying child support. So we go through all these here and we fill it out. So the first thing we have to determine is if there's any pre-existing child support. Let's say for both sides, this is both their first child. So we're going to put in 0 and 0. Then the next thing we're going to say is there any alimony being paid by either parents? This is both their first child. Let's say first child not married. So we're just going to put in 0 here and 0 here. So again, first child not married, never been married for either party. We're going to put in 0 here and 0 here. And this line just deals with whether or not they're receiving any alimony. You can't receive alimony if you've never been married. Okay, so we come down here to number 3. And as you can see, number 3, this gets filled in automatically as you put in the numbers above here, number 1. And based on the income they make, the court is saying that they should both be 50-50 responsible for this child. Okay. So next thing we do here, we go down to number 4. So number 4 has all these other categories we can put in. Number 1 is going to be the work-related child care expenses. So in this case, they're a very lucky couple. They were able to find a very cheap child support daycare person, and they're only being charged $500 per month. The $500 mother is paying, so we put that in here. Because of their income, they don't have a lot of money, so they're receiving state health insurance, so they don't have to pay for health insurance. So we're going to put in 0 here. So C talks about extraordinary medical expenses. So I usually think of this category as amounts, basically medical expenses that your insurance will not cover. And let's say you have to have surgery, or your child had to have surgery. Obviously, insurance is going to pay for a portion of that, but there's always some portion left over that insurance will not pay for, and that's what I usually consider to be extraordinary medical expenses. If your child had any, you would put that amount in here. As you can see here, the drop down is giving me $5,000, but that's because I had a previous case where they actually had $5,000 in extraordinary medical expenses. Okay, so then here we have the cash medical support. For this, I always think of this as how much you'd have to pay. Let's say if you have a child with like allergies or asthma, you have to go to the pharmacy every month to buy the asthma medication or to buy the allergy medication. So we put that in here. But in this case, this child does not have extraordinary medical expenses and they don't have any cash medical supports. So we put zeros in here and zeros in here. And let me not forget some. I guess I've been forgetting to do it all along, but let's put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And I'm quickly, let me remove the 0. We already done here. Let me get here, then I'll go back to A because there is something I want to point out. So additional expenses. So according to this code in the family law, additional expenses usually covers things like transportation, and it's usually transportation to get back and forth from one parent's house to the other, or transportation to get back and forth from school. And it also covers things like tuition for schools. Some kids go to private school, so if you have that amount, you put that in here. And if you have an amount for the tuition for private school, you put that amount in here. And if you have the amount for the transportation, let's say you have to Uber once a week to send your kids to either the extracurricular activity or to their school every morning, you put that amount in here. Okay. So I want to go back here to A. As I said, mother is the one paying the child care expenses, so we're only putting the $500 in her category. If they were split in the payments of the child care expenses, let's say mother was paying her share, which was $250, and father was also paying $250 directly to the daycare provider, that's how we would put it in. And actually for this case, I'll put it in this way just so we can see. So that is pretty much it. We said there was no additional, in this case, there's no additional expenses, meaning no tuition, no transportation costs. So that's it. This is our child support. This is our child support numbers. And this amount, the $477.50, that is how much mother owes to father in child support every month. And the $477.50, that's how much father owes to mother every month. But keep in mind, because we said earlier that mother, parent one, has primary custody of the kids, she isn't going to make this payment to father. she's keeping this money here because it's assumed that it's already gone into her household and she's already spending it on things like rent, food, whatever it is that she's spending it on. So she's not required to give father this money. She keeps it because the child lives with her. But father, who doesn't have custody of the kids, who only has access or visitation with the kids, or child in this case, he has to now pay this $470 to mother. And in that example we had earlier, where we had the 250, let's take the 250 out of father's column. Let's say mother was making all the direct payments to child support. To the daycare. So we put that money in, and as you can see, that changes the calculation down here. So the court takes into account that father isn't paying his half, so it's brought in down here. And as you can see down here, it says father now owes $727.50 to mother each month. So that's how the courts determine child supports, and this is a calculator we all use. There are private calculators that attorneys pay for to use. I wanted to show you the public version, and this public version is pretty spot on. It works. We all use it. So there you go. If you're home trying to figure out how to calculate child support, if you're trying to anticipate how much to expect in child support, or how much you have to pay each month in supports, go through the steps I did. What you really need is the income of both parties. That part is really important. And once you have that, then you can plug in the numbers and pretty much just play with it. Let's say we change these numbers around, and mother's only paying for her child-related work expenses. Her daycare, let's say she's only paying $100 directly to father in total, and father's paid nothing because they have a stipend or something. As you can see, that will change the number here. Let's even change the income of the parents, and let's say there is no daycare. Let's change the income of the parents, and father makes, instead of making minimum wage, father is making, let's say, 3 times this amount, and we're saying he makes about $6,000. We go down to the bottom. As you can see, his child support amount went up. That's how we determine child support. And again, this is assuming that there's no health care, no work-related child expenses, no extraordinary medical care. This is just plugging in zeros everywhere else. The fact that his income went up drastically changes the amount. And in this case, let's remove all these things, all these extras also. And let's take it back to them making the father making $2,600 per month. There we go. He would have to pay $750. This is the minimum amount that father will have to pay every year in Maryland. And let's say mother wasn't working at all. If the child is under 2 years old, mother doesn't have to work according to Maryland state law. Then father's child support obligation would go up, and he would be paying $511 to mother. And let's say mother was the one making way more than father, and she was making $8,000 per month. Father would still have to pay her child support, but as you can see, he only has to pay her $353.72 in child support. So there you go. You can play with these numbers either way to just figure out what to anticipate in either payments or receipts. And if the situation was reversed, and let's say father parent 2 was the one with custody, and mother was making this much more than him, mother would have to pay father $1,088.28 each month. So there you go. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you're in the middle of a child support case, feel free to just go ahead and play with these numbers, and that way you can figure out what works best for you and how to navigate and present your case to court. Okay, I hope you found this helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if there's any topic you'd like me to cover. And just leave a comment. If there's anything you didn't like or if there's anything you liked, just let me know. I look forward to hearing from you. And I will really try to respond to each comment as soon as I can. All right. Ciao.